everybody, TJ from Guitar Crate here. I got a cool video for you today. It's going to be a little out of sync with the other videos we have going on, but this kind of came up and I wanted to get it out there so that you can see it. There is only one way to wire a Strat. That is right. There's only one way that your Strat should ever be wired, and it's very simple to do the mod, but it's life-changing. If you are a Strat player, or if you're someone who had trouble with a Strat, to hop into a Strat and have the wiring be like this will definitely be a lot easier for you to kind of adapt yourself to it. So recently, and what also brought this on, recently I had a birthday, and I thought what better way to celebrate my birthday than to build a guitar. And you know, this has got a couple of things on it that are very cool and unique for me as a lefty player. Less exciting for the righties, but as a whole, you know, the video is really about the wiring. But before I go too deep into this, quick little shout out. This is actually an MJT body. I went off eBay. They didn't send it to me. They don't know that I'm the guy who won the bid on eBay. But if you look at it, you can see, not sure if it's focusing, but it's got a real cool, it's a real cool distressed body, and there are just lines all over the place from the checking. It's a really pretty piece. The whole guitar, fully built, is 7.25 pounds. So really excited about it. And MJT is a company, they put out a good product. You know, everything they build is pretty solid from what anyone's ever said, and I am enjoying this guitar. So I'm going to cut to a quick video about, you know, with me wiring up this pickguard and getting this done, and then I'm going to show you how the wiring works, because you see it looks real normal, everything looks stock, but it's a different beast under the hood. So we're going to get into that, and then when we come back, I'm going to, you know, demo what pickups do what, and how to get the sounds and the flexibility out of there. Being a left-handed player, I also don't get an opportunity like this very often to set up the guitar and enjoy things right-handed people usually get. So today I'm going to show you a quick lapse of me wiring together this Strat, kind of show you some of the ins and outs of some of the Stratocaster tips and things for getting the wiring done straight. But two very important things that this is going to be unlike things that you normally see is, one, I have the Jimi Hendrix set of Strat pickups. Now what's cool about this is they actually wound these backwards, so a right-handed player can see what it feels like to be a left-handed player playing on the pickup. So they actually wound how these are set up backwards. Now what's really cool about this is, being a left-handed pickup, this is the first pickup, and they advertise this as well, that they're the first ones to do this, but this is the first pickup to actually be designed for a left-handed player to hear things the way a right-handed player would. And they did it for the right-handed players, but I'm going to take advantage of it so that I can actually get my first Stratocaster sounding the way it's actually meant to sound. So for you right-handed players, these pickups will help the sound for the backwards jangle that Jimi Hendrix had, but I will actually get an Alnico 5 genuine Stratocaster sound with the pickups going the right way. The other part to this is, in my shop, we don't wire Stratocasters like standard Stratocasters. I feel like you're just missing too much of the picture, and there's a lot of things that people want that you don't get. So I wish I had designed this, but I didn't. If you Google it, you will find it. Recently, in the last couple of years, there's a type of wiring called Memphis wiring. So there is like a Tennessee Strat wiring, but this is specifically the Memphis wiring. And what I'm going to show you, break that down to you, but everything's going to look normal here, except I'm going to be on a three-way. So 1, 2, and 3. And I'm actually going to get to play these two pickups at the same time. So my three-way will go 1, 2, or 3. And this guy will have its own kind of volume setup. So I'll be able to get all the sounds of a Strat and some with normal flexibility without any extra work. And also, because of the way this is going to be set up down here, I'm going to have a master tone for the whole guitar. So one of the things that, I'm sure a lot of people who are Stratocaster players are very familiar with is usually modding a tone control to go to the bridge pickup, because the one pickup that's overly bright is the only pickup that doesn't have a tone control. So I'm going to show you this cool Strat wiring setup. This is something that I strongly believe every Strat player should have their guitar wired like this. And what's nice is if you already have a Stratocaster from the factory, with the exception of putting a new three-way in, you should already have your CTS 250K pots in there, and all you have to do is just switch those, kind of position them to be the right format for this. But it's actually a pretty inexpensive job, and if you can solder, it costs you 10 or 15 bucks for this switch, and that's it. Everything else is off the stock setup. So sit tight and watch for a little bit. I'm going to play this through fast. Otherwise, this would be a very, very long setup. But enjoy. All right. So for anyone who's not familiar with this, I actually have set up here with some extra things. But if you've ever had your volume pot when you're turning it swivel in the pickguard, this is the newest, coolest way to handle this, and to make sure that this will never come off. You'll see I've actually got a nut here. I'm going to put this on. And I always fit everything by hand first so I don't cram down on anything. Whew. There we go. But now you can see the top and the bottom. Once I come down on this, it'll never come loose again. And I've got guitars that are, 15 years, still not a budge. Once you lock a nut and a nut together, you're golden. So one of the beauties you'll see of the surgical tubing that Fender really coined doing is putting these in now is going to be a piece of cake. Instead of sitting there trying to balance everything, watching springs fly out, it's much more stable. One of the things that's pretty cool too is actually, you can see the winding, but normally they do covers that kind of force you to have the logo on there. But in this particular case, you can get whatever you want. So if you wanted to change the color for the guitar that you're on, even though they're Hendrix pickups, you're good to go. Alright, so as you can see, this is getting all set up and ready to go. One of the things that we'll get into another time is what we'll get into, if the video is not out already, we'll get into why I picked the Hendrix pickups. The wirings and the specs, all that kind of stuff isn't really as important. It's custom shop, it's going to be great. But besides the reverse wiring, There's also, these are Alnico 5 pickups, which is a very specific thing. Not that it's better or right for everyone, but I specifically stick to Alnico 5 pickups, and we'll explain that in another video when we talk about, you know, how to choose a pickup, why you choose a certain pickup, things like that. So but this is the dry fit, and you see everything in here is already dry fit and set up. I did all the screwing by hand to make sure I didn't over drill or, you know, jam something that went in the wrong way and strip it. But now we'll get to the soldering. So I don't know if you can see over here, but if you are any good at soldering, awesome. Then stuff like this is stuff you can do by yourself. If it's something you're looking to get into, there's two very important things that I like to stress. You're only as good as your solder, which is what I got right here. This is a special solder they used in high-end electronics. I was fortunate enough to score some of it from an engineering company, and then the other part to it too is the soldering iron. This is actually a pretty inexpensive iron. The iron is not necessarily the important part to this. Spending a lot of time with this, I can solder as good with this iron as any other iron, especially when there's a changeable tip, and I can just pop out whatever I need to pop out. But what is important is I've got a setting here to regulate the iron. So this iron, when you plug it directly into the wall, is gonna get hot enough, but if it gets too hot and it burns the solder, that's what starts to get the resin to cake up, and then the solder doesn't hold as well. So the secret is being at the right temperature, and the device doesn't really matter. You can spend, you know, a couple $100 on a device like this. I know StuMac makes a really nice one. This was an Amazon setup. I think it was like 30 bucks. And then the soldering iron I got at my local hardware store because I like this iron better. But having the regulator is what makes the difference. And that's really changed my ability. You know, I actually learned on an already regulated soldering iron. So in the beginning, it was really easy. And then I switched shops. You know, started working at a different place, and I had to bring my own stuff. And all of a sudden, I was having problems. I had to experiment with, you know, why, you know, I could buy the most expensive stuff. I did, and I was like, oh, this is crap. What's going on? I must have got a dud. But really, what it boiled down to is making sure, you know, and having someone around to tell you to be aware, like, hey, check your temperature. 4.25, too hot, I start to burn resin. You know, 3.5, I don't get, you know, a high enough burn to get the solder to melt. So that's really just finding that sweet spot is what gives you a better job of soldering. Just to give you an idea, I've gone through and I've primed everything. So everything's got a little bit of solder on it that's going to be used. So I actually like to save these for when I need like a short connection and you can't really make like a wire work with all the coating and stuff. So I usually save these and save them for later. But you can see, nice and easy. You don't need to kill it with solder, and looks nice and clean. All right. So this is a little trick of the trade. My mentor is kind enough to teach this to me, but this is a nice clean way to make the three-way instead of having all these loops. If you look at like a standard job, instead of having all these loops, you just whoop right there, slide it right in. Always works best with the cut. If you do the like the regular plastic wiring, it's not that it's better, but it's easier to work with the cloth, just because you can pull it back, and if you over or undercut, you can just slide the cloth as you need it. Okay, so as you can see there with the cloth, just slide it back in. It's my favorite trick. But now, you can see in the bridge position, this right here for the neck pickup isn't connected. And this one is. Slide it to the middle, slide it to the middle, slide it to the neck. And this one's not connected. So now I've got, I got 1, 2, 3. Almost like a telly. Okay, so what's really important here is you'll notice there's slack. Okay, and I always put everything in going down just to keep connections from randomly poking out and touching stuff. But so I always make sure that there's slack here so there's no stress in the joint. If I set this in and it pushes on this, it's not going to snap. A lot of times you'll see like a ground wire just go straight across. The second something pushes that, you're putting stress on the joint. So you'll notice little loops around everything just to make sure that there's plenty of give for any stress once it goes into the guitar. Alright, so you can see, you want to put these in nice and clean. Get to them, you don't even see this wire, it's tucked underneath, nothing's going to hit it. This guy's underneath. So, and this is just, making sure it looks presentable. It's going to sound great, but if someone opens this up in 10 years and looks at it and says, TJ did this? Ugh, that would be a nightmare. Alright, so there we have it. So as you see, everything looks nice, everything looks clean, just the way it should be. So we'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to put this in so we can get the jack together and we can test it out. Alright, I'm going to put this in here. Oh no, don't scratch it! Oh! Alright, so one of the things that's usually pretty difficult that I like to kind of go against the grain with is, again, because you want this guitar to look nice, you want it to look sexy, and of course it sounds better when it looks cool, right? So this is the claw, which will eventually have one of the leads going to it. Most people will put it right here. In the factory, you always see it right here. So I try and disguise it a little bit. It takes a little bit of sanding. But you can see I did this as an example, but you can either bring it through and wire underneath or behind the claw, depending on what you prefer. This is homemade Vaseline, and I stole it from the wife. Started sticking it with screws. She got mad, she told me to keep it. But this is something you do to all your screws, including the neck screws. Whenever you're putting anything in, it keeps it from basically getting gunked up. So I don't know if you can see from here, but I've got the wires going in this way. So when the cloth comes down, there's no way that is ever going to get in the way. More importantly, I always do this part first to make sure that we're in good shape. Right here, pushing down to make sure that anywhere I go, there's no wires stuck anywhere. Especially in here, sometimes they like to get stuck and they'll leave a little bump. You can see everything gets flush like a glove. Alright. Alright, so before we wire anything up or screw anything in, it's my little honey tone. Basically just use it here because it's battery operated and it's fun. But alright, so Okay, you see in the middle position, I got this one and that one. I don't know if you can hear it. The hum, different story. Not necessarily whether or not it was wired right. Yeah. Oh, look at that. So what's really cool about this now, and we just finished testing. Okay, so now what's really important about this, and this is where the Memphis wiring really shines, is right now I turn up my volume, my bridge pickup is on, and now I have a tone for that bridge. If I go up, this is my neck pickup. Now at any point in time, like if I want to do a 2 or a 4 position, I can roll, this is the middle pickup right here, I can roll as much of this in as I want. So now I've got a 4 position or a 2 position. Or if I roll off my volume, I have a 3 position. But now the magic is when I go into the middle here and I turn up this volume, I'm actually running all 3 pickups at the same time. I don't have to sacrifice anything. And at any point in time, I can be playing and decide I want to go from the bridge to a 2 position and just roll this in. And I can roll half of it if it's really like, if it's got a sweet spot. See? So I can get like a blend. So it opens up the door for more things to happen at the same time. I don't actually have to sacrifice any of the stock positions. And if you notice, while I was putting this together, you know, it really wasn't any different than an original wiring. It was really just making this a volume, and now this is a master tone, and this is a 3-way. This is the only piece you have to buy if you have a Strat and need to move this stuff around. And there you have it. So we'll get the rest of this together, and we'll get the rest of this together, and we'll you know, demo it. I'll get some playing of it, you know, see how it sounds, and show you how this works at the end of the video with a quick little, you know, jam session. If you don't know I'm doing that, then you need to Google it. Alright, so the best way to show you how the pickups are working from a demonstration purpose is like this. You hear that noise, you take a screwdriver and you hit the pickup. Gentle, you don't want to scratch it, but it's not likely gonna scratch. But you'll notice you don't hear anything when I hit these. And if I turn the volume down, I get nothing. So the volume here, and then these 2 are off. If I go to the middle position, you'll hear these 2 are on, this one's off. And if I go to the neck position, the neck is on, and these 2 are off. So right now, if I run this one volume, my bridge and my neck will toggle with this 3-way right here. And from there you can get whatever you want, you know. Nice and easy. And if you're a Tele player, if you're a Les Paul player, you know, you're back to a very familiar neck bridge setup. With the middle pickup, the magic in this is it actually comes in through this middle volume knob right here, which used to be a tone knob. But you just reassign it to be a volume knob, and now right here I actually have all all 3 pickups working all at the same time, which you could never do before in a Strat, just like you couldn't do a neck and bridge together on a Strat like this. So the magic though is now if I turn the volume off for these guys, I can have just my middle pickup right there like that. And then if I go down to a bridge and I roll both volumes on, I've got those 2. So my classic 2 position or my classic 4 positions right there. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But now I have 6 with the bridge and the neck, and I have 7 with all 3. So I'm going to leave you with a little bit of jamming so you can hear what this new baby sounds like. But I hope this was really helpful for you and can inspire you to do some cool things. You know, and that's really the goal is you know, if you can look at your instrument a different way or get something out of it that you couldn't get before, find a new way to fall in love with it. You know, by all means, that's always the best feeling and the best thing you can get. You know, is to be inspired. So enjoy and subscribe to greatness, and we'll see you soon.